"90 years ago, the Virginia Farm Bureau made our local farmers a promise to protect and preserve a way of life they work so hard to establish. Today, our insurance agents work to protect all Virginians, not just farmers. We want to keep Virginia, Virginia. More information is at farmbureauadvantage.com.
Hi everybody, welcome to Virginia Farming. I'm Amy Rocher. This week we visit Fraser Quarry in Elkton, where we learn about agricultural lime, what it is, and how it benefits the soil. Then Chris Mullins has tips on growing strawberries from the ground up. We'll also have the Ag Calendar, a Minute in the Field video, and of course your Ag News of the Week, all on this edition of Virginia Farming. Mosquito season will soon be here. That means it's time to start thinking about vaccinating your horses against mosquito-borne illnesses such as West Nile virus and Eastern equine encephalitis. Rabies is not a mosquito-borne disease, but it is a fatal disease that also requires annual vaccination. The Virginia Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services urges all horse owners to check with their veterinarians for vaccination recommendations for their animals. Last year, Virginia only had 1 confirmed case of West Nile virus and 3 of Triple E, although many states around us had a much higher incidence of the cases. And speaking of veterinarians, VDACS recently selected Dr. Charles Broadus as state veterinarian and director of the Division of Animal and Food Industry Services. Commissioner Adams said Dr. Broadus's experience, background, and commitment to Virginia agriculture will be a tremendous asset as state veterinarian. Broadus begins his new duties May 11th. Well, coyotes have been killing more and more livestock in Virginia for over a decade, but a joint damage control program is beginning to help reduce the death count. Sherry McKinney has more.
The number of livestock animals killed by coyotes on Virginia farms declined in the 18 months before June 30th of 2015, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Wildlife Services Division. During that period, there was a 24% decrease in the recorded number of sheep killed by coyotes, as well as a 26% drop in the number of calves taken by predators. Highland and Wythe counties are the state's biggest problem areas for coyote kills, with more than 50 losses. Wildlife officials like Scott Barris believe these numbers will fluctuate over the years.
Coyotes at one point were extremely rare in Virginia. Their numbers have increased in Virginia. They've actually spread geographically across the state. Everybody has these animals now, and they can expect to see them for a long time to come.
The report listed 218 sheep, 60 calves, and 24 goats as verified coyote kills in the fiscal year 2015. The numbers may have been worse if the Wildlife Services Program had not helped to implement preventative measures by removing 512 coyotes from 81 livestock farms. Tim Timberlake and his family have been dealing with coyote issues for the last decade on their cow-calf farm in Powhatan County.
Well, they're just pretty destructive, especially when they have young, and that's when we seem to miss them. Is when we have cows that we know are actively calving, and then you'll go over one morning to check them, and one cow's just up and down the fence, up and down the fence. A lot of times you can see in the fence where they pull them under the fence.
The loss of a calf really hurts a producer's bottom line. Calves can cost a farmer $1,400, and Timberlake's farm was losing 5 calves to coyotes a year.
Well, it's kind of hard when it's not a very big cash flow business to start with, and it's that we want to keep the place going is the main reason that we keep it stocked with the beef cattle, and but it does work on your bottom line.
Over the last 4 years, wildlife experts with the USDA program have helped Timberlake, and coyote numbers have declined around the farm.
Within about 3-4 weeks, I think we'd gotten 7 or 8 out of here. Been a big helpful process for us to work with, and I feel like all in all, I said we got quite a few that first year. That was our best year, but we usually get doing a trapping, we'll get 5 to 7.
We worked I think last year on 192 different farms to protect people from losses from these predators. And so it is extremely important to our producers to maintain this service.
The Virginia Farm Bureau Federation is asking the State General Assembly to continue full funding for the coyote control program and to add enough money for staff on the eastern side of the state. Barris notes the program is not just for farmers. Homeowners can obtain assistance too.
If someone has a concern about coyotes in their particular location, whether it's related to livestock or to pets or to property, they can call the USDA Wildlife Services Program through the Virginia Wildlife Conflict Helpline.
It's been a quarter of a century since the Cooperative Control Program began between the USDA and the Virginia Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. Methods for preventing coyote kills include improved husbandry practices, predator resistance fencing, predator frightening devices, and livestock guardian animals. Only when those methods are exhausted are coyotes actually removed from the farms. Reporting in Powhatan County, I'm Sherry McKinney.
Thanks, Sherry. Deschutes Brewery, with headquarters in Oregon, will invest $85 million to establish its Eastern U.S. brewery in the city of Roanoke. Virginia successfully competed against North Carolina and South Carolina on the project, which will create 108 new jobs paying above the average prevailing wage in the region. Virginia Agriculture Secretary Todd Haymore said this venture helps solidify Virginia as a key player in the country's growing craft beer industry, which saw sales increase by almost 19% last year. Well, using limestone as a soil amendment can be very beneficial for crops. Today we find out just what agricultural lime can do. That's straight ahead on Ag Insights. Today we're in Elkton, Virginia, and we're visiting Fraser Quarry. I'm joined by Rob Fraser. Rob, thank you so much for having us out here today.
Thank you, Amy. Appreciate it.
Well, the main reason we came to this Elkton location is because it's very rich in limestone. And limestone is what you use to make ag lime.
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
Something a lot of farmers rely on and a lot of farmers swear by it. What is ag lime?
Ag lime is essentially pulverized limestone that can be used in an agricultural application to basically adjust the sweetness of the soil, adjust the pH of your soils.
Okay. And this spot we're standing in, of course, you can see the lime behind us.
Yeah.
But this spot we're in Elkton seems to be fairly rich in limestone. Why do you think that is?
Well, really, the entire Shenandoah Valley floor is composed of limestone. So I would say our entire valley here is a very limestone-rich environment. Specifically here at our Elkton plant, we have a more dolomitic limestone, which is a higher magnesium content.
Okay.
And we're actually in a different formation of limestone than we're at several other locations, which allows for that differentiation in between the magnesium and calcium's makeup.
Okay. So with that in mind, why is ag lime good for the soil? What does it do for the soil that makes it beneficial?
Really, you're adjusting the pH of the soil to allow for your crops to have more access to the nutrients that are already there, whether it's the potassium or the nitrogen or other nutrients that are already pre-existing in the soil. We try to shoot to keep our soil between 6.8 and 7 on a pH scale. And oftentimes when we're over-treating our soil with different fertilizers, you're adjusting that pH and it's dropping down, but low 6s, high 5s, sometimes as low as the high 4s. And by applying your ag lime to the soil, you're adjusting that pH, bringing it closer to 7, which is neutral. And really, you want to try to keep your soil between 6.8 and 7. And for example, if you have a soil that drops down somewhere to 5% when you're growing either alfalfa, corn, or soy, you're looking at a 25% reduction in yield, just by not being mindful and cautious of what the pH balance of your soil is. So by using consistent long-term applied use of our lime, you can help adjust your lime or your soil property, pH, back to that neutral state, which is going to produce your highest yield for your crops.
So we're standing in front of this huge pile of ag lime. Mm-hmm. Walk us through the process. How did it get from being dug out of the quarry to this?
Really, it's a simple process, and you can look at a really complex plant and see a lot of different things going different directions. But simply, we use explosives to blast the material or push the material out of the ground and fracture it. And we move that to a crusher, and we have a couple different crushers at this specific location we use. And really, as the material gets ground finer and finer, it makes it to the last point, which is our mill. And we have a Bradley pulverizer mill here, and we're basically pulverizing small, fine limestone into a much smaller product like you see here.
Okay.
It's just reducing size, making little rocks out of big rocks.
Okay. Now, we see this here, and I see all these huge dump trucks around.
Yeah.
Does this end up in a bag? Does it end up in the back of the truck? How does it leave this facility?
No, we don't bag our product right now. Customers come, they bring their trucks, or they buy it through a wholesaler that's already picked it up here. But primarily, dump trucks come, gets loaded with the material goes to market, goes to the customer where they need it.
Now, you're certainly not the only quarry around who sells lime.
Right.
Is there something about your all's lime that might be different than other quarries or what we might find across the state?
That's a good question. There's lots of different quarries all across the state and across the nation. And really here in the state of Virginia, we rely on the Virginia Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services specs. You know, and basically each state can specify how the lime is to be composed. So we pride ourselves on making high quality lime because we have such a high percentage that passes through those specifications that we get from the state. Additionally, we take in and try to work with our consumer or our customer to adjust whatever they need in order to allow for a more efficient application and a long-term relationship to be developed.
Okay. Well, you talk about long-term relationship, and that seems to be the key for lime, because it's an amendment that goes into the soil. It's not necessarily fertilizer you're gonna see instantaneous results from. How long does the lime application last?
There's a lot of science behind it, and when you're looking at lime, there's basically a factor that we use called the effective neutralizing value of that lime. And if you have a product that is more coarse, which is a lot larger than, say, a lot finer material like you see behind us, that lime takes a lot longer to break down in the soil. So if a customer is buying lime that is really, really coarse, because it's easy for them to spread and it doesn't, doesn't create all that nuisance dust that we see sometimes, really they're hurting themselves. They think that they're investing into their product or their field, their infrastructure, but really they're just handicapping themselves. It takes longer for that lime to break down.
Okay.
So really you have to find the sweet spot between making sure that your lime is as fine as can be as possible based on the state's specs and guidelines, but also has a moisture content that allows you to spread that, and so you reduce that amount of nuisance dust or really investment that might blow away with the wind. And we try to keep our moisture content right at about 5% here, which allows for us to have a much finer lime, but with that moisture content doesn't create all the nuisance dust that would be blown away by the wind when you're spreading it.
So this finer lime, like what we're standing on, is really the best. And is it about the same price as the bigger chunks?
In a lot of situations, yes. What we've seen is across the state, prices do fluctuate and vary depending on what, if you're buying it retail or if you're buying it wholesale, etc. But by and large, prices are the same. A lot of different manufacturers, a lot of producers' specifications will change and be different. That's where your variable is.
Okay.
So what we strive to do is create a consistent product, and we do that through many different processes. We're constantly testing and evaluating our product to make sure that we are staying within those specifications like we advertise. When we look at it, it's really about making sure that our customer and in the application of lime or ag lime, they're getting the best return on investment for the money they're paying for their product.
Okay. And that return on investment when you're using something this fine will happen a lot quicker.
Yes, ma'am. Really, if you're looking at a coarser material and a finer material, a good example would be if you have a coarse material that's relatively the size of a bead of rice. That bead of rice made up of ag lime, of limestone, can take between 3 to 5 years to break down the soil and have the effect that you're looking for.
Okay.
The finer material takes about 2 to 3 months, sometimes on upward of 5 months to actually have that break down in the soil and help adjust the pH of that soil back to a state where you need it.
So this fine ag lime, how is it spread? Do they spread it, or is it incorporated in with tilling, or how is it put on the soil?
For our large customers, our large volume customers, they're using ginormous spreaders on the back of trucks. For a homeowner, it could be as simple as getting a dolly with a spreader on and just spraying it across your yard.
Okay.
But yes, you're spreading it to get it on the ground. There's also some more high-tech means when you're looking at variable rate application. and really you're using some technologies like GPS, maybe some drone technology to help measure the soil properties of the fields and which areas are hot spots on your field and which aren't. Those hot spots being areas where you might need to add a little bit more lime. And basically you can tailor your application process so you're cutting your costs, but also making sure that it has the most effective end state on the field itself.
So this is not only good for our farmers who are growing crops like corn and soybeans, but this is also good for gardens and
Absolutely.
lawns?
Gardens and lawns. The biggest thing there is whether you're a high volume or small volume customer, to make sure that you're cognizant and aware of what the pH or the soil properties are that you're dealing with. And then it's really just knowing, what do I need to do to adjust that to get it to the state where I'm going to have my highest yields? Whether it's a green grass that you're looking for in the summer or a large volume yield when you go to harvest in the late fall.
So if a farmer or even a consumer wants to find out what the pH balance of their soil is, what should they do?
I would have them contact the extension agency or work through one of their local co-ops, and they can either direct them to a third-party service, maybe a third-party lab that'll offer that service, or do it themselves based on the volume of what they're doing.
So let's talk about your customers a little bit. Where are your customers? Are they statewide, nationwide? Who uses your ag lime?
Yeah, so the majority of our market area is here in the Shenandoah Valley. We're very fortunate that God blessed us with a valley that has its roots in the agrarian society, a lot of farms. However, if you go east of the Blue Ridge Mountains, there's little to no limestone, which means there's little to no access to agricultural lime other than what is produced in a place like the Shenandoah Valley and shipped over there. So we're expanding our market right now, working to get into those different market areas east of the Blue Ridge. And I would say primarily in the Eastern Shore region.
Right, where their soil seems to be a little more acidic.
Yes, and they need that lime to help adjust that pH balance.
Right.
Yep.
Well, that brings up an interesting point thinking about the Eastern Shore, because so many of our farmers are concerned with the runoff that might be going into the Chesapeake Bay or any
Absolutely.
of our other
Yep.
water supplies. Let's talk about ag lime and the cleanliness for the environment.
Really, your only concern with the application of ag lime is more of the nuisance dust, and that's the dust that blows away when you're spreading it. And there's a lot of different situations can develop. We're looking primarily at the respiratory issues, but specifically when we're looking at groundwater and wastewater, if you will, runoff, limestone calcium carbonate is a basic material, which means that it is probably the best thing that you can have in your water to help adjust the acidity levels of the water itself. We sell a lot of stone in other areas, repairing and repair being one. You're looking at the bank and slope stabilization of streams and creeks to help reduce the runoff of some of those total suspended solids that enter the water, but also to help adjust the pH back to a basic or more neutral area. So really when you're looking at the application of ag lime, it's probably the best thing you can do for your field and for any sort of runoff or wastewater that might leave your property. Much better than some of the fertilizers that we're putting on our field right now.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about return on investment.
Yeah.
What are some of your customers seeing their return being after using ag lime?
It really varies. We've had some customers that had never had any soil test done on their fields. They got their soil tested and realized that they had some pretty acidic soil, basically over-fertilized soil. Throughout several applications, we were able to bring that pH of that soil back to a basic neutral area where their crops were thus getting a better yield or having a better yield when they went to harvest. And really you're looking at the absorption ability of your plants to gather and grab the nutrients that are already pre-existing in the soil.
So it lets the plants absorb all the nutrients they need better.
Yes, ma'am. The nutrients, by and large, are already there in the soil. But if we have over-fertilized soil, more acidic soil,
Okay.
your plants aren't grabbing them as effectively. And that's where I kind of touch on the fact that, say I have a field that's somewhere in the range of 5% or 5 on the pH scale, that's a 25% reduction in your return before you even plant the first seed. You're looking at 25% right off the top. And those are huge numbers when we're looking at some of these much larger farms. But even for a small landowner, a small farmer, that has its effects.
And in essence, because of the job the ag lime does, you don't need to use as much fertilizer.
Absolutely, yeah. And by not using as much fertilizer, you're saving money in that respect, but you're also helping preserve the local environment or community around it. We're looking at runoff issues. Over application of fertilizer, you have some pretty disgusting runoff that gets into all of our drinking water supply. And that has an effect downstream. You know, we're dealing with a lot of stuff in the Chesapeake Bay right now, seeing a lot of municipalities instituting these stormwater fees. Well, I can tell you that the same thing is going on some of the fields, and we're not necessarily cognizant and aware that it's happening. So by applying lime, you're reducing how much fertilizer you need to put on each and every year. You're one, saving money, but two, you're also making sure the nutrients that are in the soil aren't getting washed away, washed downstream. You're not just throwing money away.
Well, if people want more information on ag lime, where should they go for more information?
FrazierCorey.com.
FrazierCorey.com.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Get in touch with one of our stone experts. Be more than happy to help you out. Also, if you're interested and don't take our word for it, you can contact your extension agency or co-op, get them to come out and start testing your soil. Once you have an idea of where you're at, we can help to get to where you need to be.
Rob, thank you so much for having us out today.
Thank you, Amy.
It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you. Pleasure's all mine.
We'll be right back.
It's that time of year when a lot of us are thinking about those wonderful strawberries. Today, Chris Mullins has tips on growing strawberries from the ground up.
Well, now many of you this time of the year are thinking about strawberries, and I'm sure many of you go to pick your own operations and you get beautiful strawberries, but maybe you can grow them in your home garden. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're here at Westover Farms. Tim Miller is the owner and operator. Tim, thank you so much for allowing us to come out today and shoot this segment. I know you plant these usually in the fall, and you harvest in maybe May, this part of the area. What would a home gardener, what time of the year you think would be a good time for them to plant their strawberries?
Well, they could do the same thing, plant in the fall, but they probably plant a little bit earlier because of not using plastic. If they would use plastic, they could plant in September like we do. If they planted an ever-bearing variety, they could plant in the spring and expect a fall crop. But for the best spring crop, they probably want to plant in August or maybe even in July.
Right. And you use this is more of a system, an annual system, where you take these up after you finish.
Yes.
But a lot of people will grow what's called a matted row, where they just keep having the strawberries come back year after year because they are perennial, right? And so there might be some different varieties that they could find that would be well suited for a year-to-year planting, more of a matted row production.
Yes.
If they're going to buy some berries, what would be the best place to get these kind of plants to put in the garden?
Probably the best choice for a homeowner would be a reputable mail order company or a full-service garden center.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, I think you can find a lot of those out there that are going to have good quality plants. And like you said, those internet companies now are very good at sending people quality plants.
And getting a quality plant is key. If you get a plant that has virus already on it and things like that, you just start out on the wrong foot.
Well, Tim, I notice you're growing, as a commercial grower, you're growing on black plastic, which keeps weeds down, I'm guessing, right? And now a homeowner, home gardener probably could buy plastic and put it down and keep the weeds down, but they could also maybe use some other type of mulch, maybe?
They could use a straw, or straw mulch would probably be the best, something that's weed-free, because with plastic you can't self-propagate then, so you would have to buy new plants every year.
I see. You're exactly right. Now, I've noticed, I'm looking in here, you've got 2 rows of strawberries. And how far apart are they in here?
They're 14 inches apart. Okay. So that's a fairly tight spacing. In a home garden, you may want to space it more because you do reduce your disease pressure if you space it a little farther apart.
So maybe 18 inches apart or something like that, just to give them a little bit more space. I got you there. Now, you know, it's hot this time of the year, and do you put a lot of waters on strawberries? Do they need a lot of water?
Yes, we put about 3,000 gallons an acre per day out here at this time of the year.
Okay.
Well, so a home gardener would want to, probably the easiest thing to do would be to put a soaker hose down through there underneath your straw or plastic mulch.
Sure, yeah, get them lots of water. Yes. And so pretty much every day you'd be watering?
Yes.
Okay.
And the hottest part when they're in production. Otherwise, just when they start to wilt a little bit, you give them some more water.
Okay. Well, this is really good production. I think this is something that the home gardener can do and really have some nice strawberries out of their own garden. Well, thanks so much for letting us come and visit you today. Well, for more information about strawberry production, contact your local county extension office and talk to your master gardener. For From the Ground Up, I'm Chris Mullins, and we'll see you next time.
Taking a look at the ag calendar, the Virginia Beef Expo is at the Rockingham County Fairgrounds this weekend. The event features beef cattle sales, industry show, and the Junior Beef Roundup, featuring 2 new contests, the State 4-H Tractor Driving Contest and the State FFA Tractor Driving Contest. More information and a schedule of events can be found at vacattlemen.org. That does it for our show. Thanks so much for watching and have a great week. I'm Amy Rocher for Virginia Farming.
90 years ago, the Virginia Farm Bureau made our local farmers a promise to protect and preserve a way of life they worked so hard to establish. We want to keep Virginia, Virginia. Anyone can be a Farm Bureau member, and there's a local Farm Bureau in every county. More information is at vafarmbureau.org.